my channel. So I'm going to do a video that's actually, I'm going to do two videos right now. First video, well, they're both were inspired by Brittany books. I don't know if she was like the first one to come up with this idea. I'm sure other people have done something similar, but she's the one I saw her do it. She did it as part of her like Vlogmas, where she pretty much updates every single day of December, and all of her videos are Christmas themes. She's done some tags, she's done some other videos, just videos about Christmassy books and this and that. And basically this video is characters that would be on the naughty list, and the next one I'm going to do is characters that should be on the nice list. So characters that should be on the naughty list. I read fantasy like 98%. Like that's literally the only genre I'll touch, except for Erin Hunter series, which old subscribers should know, but I have gotten a lot of new subscribers lately. Yay, thank you for everyone who is supporting me. So yeah, I only read fantasy except for Erin Hunter's books, which is basically where I mean, I don't know their exact genre, but I consider them as adventures and action, kind of a mix, because they do go on adventures and there is a lot of fighting and stuff. So that's kind of where I place it. I might be wrong, but that's kind of where I place it. So yeah, surprisingly enough, Erin's books are my favorite, the ones I've read of yet so far, even though they're not fantasy. Secrets is my all-time favorite, Warriors being second, which I still haven't finished, which my friend bought me one of them, my sister bought me a few of them for my birthday that just passed, and then I just bought some myself, and I also bought a new series, so I've been buying a whole lot of books, and I mean, I'm so happy because I'm buying books that I've never read, books I haven't read in a while, and I really want to reread. So yay, I'm finally going to finish Warriors soon. Sometime I'm hoping in the beginning of the year, so I'm hoping no later than February. But there's other books that I want to reread first, so I can tab, since I'm doing that now, because tabbing is still very new to me. So I'm tabbing all of the books that I have read, so I'm doing a lot of rereads to make sure I can tab them, so I can find my favorite parts easier. And yeah, so this was a long introduction. Oh well. But yeah, I'm really excited about the new books that are coming. And after I read Warriors, I'm going to read Erin's other two series, Survivors and Bravelands, and I'm hoping I love them as much as Secrets and Warriors. But we'll see. I don't think they'll surpass Secrets and Warriors, especially Secrets, because Secrets is everything to me. It is my life. It is the one book that I mention almost every video, unless I'm doing something like a review or a haul or something like that, then I won't mention Secrets, obviously. Actually, there's been a few times where somehow Secrets comes up, and don't ask me how I do that, because I don't know. Somehow Secrets is always on my brain, so it's like, no matter what video I'm making, somehow it reminds me of Secrets, and then I end up talking about Secrets. I'm like, wait, no, this is not Secrets material, so why am I talking about Secrets? I don't know. But like the tags I do, because that's my favorite videos to watch and film, so yeah. As you can tell, I probably have a lot of tags there. That's probably like a lot of my videos are tags, probably, but or reviews. But for tags, I swear I mention Secrets at least once. It won't be one of my tags if I don't mention Secrets at least once. I'm not even joking to you right now. Okay, moving on to the actual video. So this is not a tag, but it's basically just characters that should be on the naughty list. And I try not to put actual villains. There's one person who is the villain of the story, even though they do not see themselves that way. And but that's the only villain. There's another person who's technically a villain, but they are redeemed. And I do love this character, but to be honest, they would have been on the naughty list for a little while at least. They would have eventually made it to the nice list because of some things they do. But as of right now, as of the beginning of the book, they're on the naughty list, so I kind of have them on there too. So yeah, let's get in. Okay, what do I have first? Okay, I'm gonna try my hardest not to go to a 15-minute rant right now, okay? Because every time I mention this character on my channel, every time I even mention it on text or something when I'm talking about her, it ended up being a whole long paragraph about why I hate her, because she is the worst book character to ever live, and I didn't even think she could surpass Umbridge from Harry Potter, but somehow she did it, and I absolutely hate her. Mary Hightower, I hate her so much. I didn't mean to do that, but you can tell how much I hate her. I just hate everything about her. I hate how she thinks she's doing what's right, or how she thinks she's this little Miss Goody Goody, how she thinks what she's doing is actually good, how she thinks she has the right to tear apart these children, to force them to live in Everlost instead of move on to where they belong. I've never hated a character this much, not even Sneaking Umbridge. Oh my gosh, I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. I hate her. I do so much. And she would definitely be on the top. Santa Claus would think have a 10-page letter about why she is number one on the naughty list. I mean, she is just so awful. I hate her, and it makes me sad that one of the most cinnamon roll characters ever in any book I have ever read, it was so hung up on him for so long. But I do have to give him kudos because he was on the opposite side of the war for because he knew what she was doing was wrong, but he never stopped loving her. And a lot of people, if they were loving someone, they would go along with what they're doing, or at least try not to stop them because they didn't want to go against them. But Nick, no matter how he felt about her, was still fighting against her because he knew it was right. Let me try that again. Because he knew it's what was right. And that says a lot about his character because not a lot of characters would do that. They would be too hung up on this person to see clearly, but not him. He knew what was right and wrong no matter how he felt about her. But he still deserves so much better than that little, she's lucky I don't cuss. Because if I did cuss, I'd have some choice words for her. Yep. So anyways, moving on before this rant gets even longer. Ned Springer. He's from, oh, I never showed you what, okay, well, I never said what book Mary Hightower is on, is she? Did I? Where, I don't know where I put that book. I don't know. My books are all disorganized right now. I really don't have much of a bookshelf, just this little one, and my mom put them on there, so she tried to keep series together, but not every series she knew went together, and then, so some series aren't even together, and then the series that are together aren't in the right order, and yeah. But it's fine. I just have to reorganize. I'm lazy. I think, didn't I see it? Oh yeah, I did see it. Okay, it's right here. It's just at the bottom of the pile. Here. And this is the first book too. This is Skin Jacket Trilogy, which is where Mary is from. Allie and Nick. And yeah, so. Okay. Next is Ned Springer from Bewitched in Oz duology. Here it is. This is Ziri Greenapple, and Ned was Ziri's crush for a while until. This is spoilers, so I won't mention. Well, this is all spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, you might want to skip past a little bit. This whole video is gonna be spoilers. Let's be real, because I'm explaining why I don't like them and stuff. And yeah, so Ned was Zira's crush until she falls in love with his little brother Brink, and Brink is one of the purest cinnamon rolls I have ever met in TV show, in movie, in book. I don't care. He's just so sweet, too good for this world, and I love him. Yeah, and Ned, I think this happened. It's been a while since I read this. I'm actually planning on rereading this soon, so it will refresh my memory. But for some reason, this one part just sticks out on my mind, and it's when Ned shows up because they're on this, like, they had to run away from home because they're being chased by flying monkeys. One of them got kidnapped by flying monkeys, so Tabitha did, and then Ziri, Vashti, and Brink have to, because they all have powers, and powers have been outlawed in Oz. So they are on their way to either Glinda or Ozma, or both. I don't remember. Ozma's the Princess of Oz, and Glinda, well, she's Glinda. Everyone knows Glinda. And to fix that and save Tabitha, and then at some point on the journey, somehow Ned finds them, and then turns out he came with like soldiers of Ozma's or something to bring them in, and so he basically betrayed them, including his little brother Brink, because they have powers and that's wrong and this and that. And it's one thing to, I mean, he never really liked Ziri or Vashti, who both had a crush on him at the same time, until Ziri ended up getting a crush on Brink, but I don't think he ever had a crush on either one of them. But it's just what made me mad is what he did to Brink. That made me so mad because Brink is everything. He's so sweet and he betrayed his own brother, and that's just wrong. So yeah, so obviously he's gonna be on the naughty list for that. Number 3 is Toralei from Monster High Ghoul Friends. I typed it a lot because I love the series. I didn't type the bottom areas. That's weird. Oh well. But yeah, I love the series. It's middle grade. There are some pictures. But it's just such a good plot and storyline and characters, and I love it. But Toralei, if you ever seen I actually have 2 Monster High series. They're both from different authors and completely different plots. I mean, yeah, there are some of the same characters from the movies and stuff, but different plots, different everything. You know, they're completely different. But if you've seen the movie, then maybe you have some sort of idea about the characters. But Toralei Stripes, she is always so mean and awful to everyone. You know, at least Cleo, even though she can be awful and she can be a bully, I'm not like excusing her behaviors because she can be awful too, but she has her boundaries, she has her limits. There are people that she will not hurt, and at the end of the day, she does do the right thing, no matter what. She is extremely loyal to her boyfriend Deuce and her best friends, Draculaura, Claudine, Frankie, and Laguna, and Ghoulia, of course. And then at the end of the day, she always does the right thing. She always helps out. She always comes through, even if it looks like she's going to be Daddy's little girl and do whatever the heck he says. No, she's always there for them at the end. But Toralei, no. Yes, she has her 2 friends, but honestly, she's not. If she had a chance to turn her back on them, I can see her actually doing it, because I don't see her caring much, to be honest, about anyone really. So she's awful throughout these books. I mean, this series is about these 3 ghouls and Cyclops, who isn't actually on the movies. He's just in the books, which is a shame because he's also one of the purest cinnamon rolls ever. Him and Rebecca, to be honest. But and I'm so bitter that they never got together. But that's besides the point. Moving on. Basically, so since this series, which contains of 4 books, are about these 3 characters and Cy. I consider him main character even if he's not on the cover because these books are cruel to him. The main characters that the Monster High movies are usually about aren't really main characters on here. I mean, Rachel and Rebecca were both the main character on one of the movies, sort of. You know, they had a significant part, but it was the same movie too. But yeah, and it doesn't show Draculaura or Cleo or Claudine or Laguna or Frankie as much as the movies do, but it still does show them and Toralei and how awful Toralei is and this and that, and she's mean to these 3 ghouls. Cleo is too, but like I said, she has a redeeming quality, so I can see her being on the nice list, you know, and you can't really 100% blame her for everything, even though she's still awful. If you knew her family, you kind of get it, you know. But yeah, so that's this answer. Okay, what's next? Okay, next is Belle, not from Beauty and the Beast. Even though I do have a Beauty and the Beast retelling. This is from Effigy's trilogy, and I hate myself for taking so long to remember it because it's one of my all-time favorite books. Here's the first book to the Effigy's trilogy. Awesome read. I just highly recommend it. Honestly, all these books, I'm telling you, I don't recommend, to be honest. Let's be real here. But yeah, and there's a lot of books I say that are my favorites. And there's but there are books that I will say that aren't my favorite, but I am huge fans of. So yeah. So anyways, moving on. Belle is awful. She's mean to I almost said Belle, but no, she is Belle. Okay, she's mean to man, my mind's just not here today. Maya, for no reason. Basically, the reason why she's so awful to her is because she is Natalia's successor. Because on here there are 4 girls who wield the elements: fire, water, earth, air. Each one of them only wield one though. Kind of like Avatar: Last Airbender. But it's just the 4 people, not like a whole bunch of people. But yeah, and when one effigy dies, they don't really go up or down. They kind of go into the next effigy, and like when the effigy wants to see the past, they can scry, which is basically where they're going to their past, and they can their past lives. They can see the like Maya can see Natalia's memories, and then if she it takes like the memories. Natalia's memories will be the freshest to her since she's like the last effigy before her. But she eventually has to see the first fire effigy, which takes a lot longer and a lot more time. She has to go through all the other effigies to get to the first fire effigy. So yeah, and but Belle's mean to her for no reason. She even tries to kill her at one point. I mean, I understand why she was so angry because they find out that the person Maya's in love with, who is also a soldier that worked with the sect that kind of helped the effigies along. Even there's like this whole conspiracy in the sect, like Blackwell and I forgot that one guy's name, but that really mean guy who would definitely be on the naughty list too. I totally forgot about him, but he would be on the naughty list too. So would Blackwell, but technically they're villains. So oh well. But they would definitely be on naughty list. Anyways, and Aiden killed Natalia, but he was kind of forced to because it's like he previously grew up in the sect because both of his parents work at the sect, and he didn't have the strength to defy them, and he ended up killing her, and he regretted it, and he hated himself for it. But Maya found out, and at first hated him and thought he lied to her and this and that, but then she figured out, she understood him more, and then she forgave him, and so she knew that Aiden's past, she knew what he did, and Natalia was like a mentor for Belle, so her death really hit her hard, and so at the end, this spoiler, huge spoiler for the end of the second book, after everyone found out what Aiden did, Belle confronted Maya about knowing it, and then she ends up like stabbing her and throwing her off a cliff. She survives because she is the main character, but barely survives. And yeah, so fun. So yeah, don't like Belle. I don't talk about how much I don't like Belle though. I've talked about my hatred for Mary Hightower, obviously. My hatred for Umbridge, obviously. I've talked about my hatred for Applewhite, obviously, and Frankie Stein as well. Those are the main ones I talk about my dislike of. But I really do dislike Belle. And I have lately been talking about, I don't know if I've been talking about on my channel or just in general, about my dislike for Rexy from the Stormmakers trilogy. I mean, I don't hate her like some of the other characters, but I do. The main thing with her is that she just annoys me. But I do kind of dislike her, so yeah. Moving on. Next is, I don't know what I'm doing. Katie from, where is it? I don't know where it went. I just saw it too. Oh, there it is. Hocus Pocus in the all-new sequel. I think people are starting to discover that this exists now with, Hocus Pocus 2 coming out and everything. And I really, really hope it's about the sequel because I'll be really disappointed if the second movie doesn't have anything to do with the book. I'll be disappointed because I love the book. Basically, the first half, this is a big book, as you can tell. But the first half is Hocus Pocus, the movie that everyone knows and loves. The second half is 25 years later. Max and Allison's daughter, Poppy, ends up with her best friend Travis and her crush Isabella. Ends up going, this is the only girl-on-girl romance that I've I love this romance. I don't talk about it nearly as much as I should, but I love it. And I I think the only time you really see gay couples is on Contemporary, and that makes me sad because I absolutely love it, and you don't really see it much in fantasy, and so at least I don't, not the books I've actually picked up, at least, except for this one, and I was so happy about it. Definitely. That's why I try to include it in my fantasy books that I write. So yeah. Anyways, moving on. I lost what I was saying. So basically, Katie is okay. From the first Hocus Pocus, from those two guys that were mean to Max. I think it was the blonde guy's daughter. I think it's the blonde guys. I don't remember their names. The blonde guy's Jay, right? That's his name, because I think that was her dad's name, and I think that's the blonde guy. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So Katie is his daughter, and she's terrible to, she's a bully. She's terrible to Poppy and Travis.
End with blood, boy.
That was my phone, because I was listening to Supernatural with the finale that I'm disappointed in, and rewatching the series, I changed my ringtones to Supernatural theme, so ignore that. Anyways, she's just awful. Yes, she does end up apologizing at the end of the book and redeems herself, and she does become tolerable. She's still not nearly one of my favorite characters. I absolutely love Poppy and Isabella and Travis. I absolutely love the three of them. An amazing trio, and definitely underrated. But anyways, moving on. So Katie would be on the naughty list until maybe the end of this book, after she goes through everything she goes through and apologizes to Poppy about being so mean to her and helping her with this, getting the witches back to where they belong. Then she'll be on the nice list, but definitely there is a time she would be on the naughty list. So a couple of these people would eventually be able to go on the nice list that's on my list, but there would also be a time that they'd be on the naughty list, so that's why I'm bringing them up. Okay. What's next? Becca from the other Monster High series. Stop. Ah! Sorry about that. I did not mean to pull that. Okay. I was just trying to stop it from moving, because I keep hitting it, and I don't know why. Why am I going over to my shelf? I have the fourth book right here. It's easier than going to dig out the first book. The fourth book I haven't put away yet, because I just finished it. I just read this entire series, so it's all fresh in my mind. This is my favorite book, the fourth one, because it has mostly to do, because it has a big part to do with Draculaura. If you know the Monster High movies, you can tell that has a lot to do with Draculaura, with the coloring and the skull and everything. So yeah, and she's my favorite. But moving on, this is about Becca. She's not actually in the fourth book though. She was only in the first two, I think, and maybe a little bit of the third one. I don't think she was in the third one at all, to be honest. She ended up moving away, and which is explained in either the third book or the fourth book, because it's you just don't hear from her anymore. So it's what the heck happened to Becca, and then it's they explained that she moved away. It's oh, that explains it, because after all the trouble she caused, she probably wanted to get away from all of it. Basically, at first I didn't mind her. Actually, at first I kind of liked her, because she befriends Melody, and she was friends with this one girl, Haley, who kind of was documenting everything. Later on, you do find out that she's always been kind of bullied. That the only reason why Haley's even friends with her is because Becca made Haley sign a contract that she has to do whatever Becca says until they graduate from high school, or maybe even graduate from college. I don't remember, but yeah. But they fixed that. Long story, not gonna get into it. But Becca did seem like an okay character, because she was dating Brett, and then she was really loyal to her friends. Her rule, which is a good rule to have, is friends first, which means that even if she had to go against her boyfriend, she would help her friends out, which she showed a couple times by how loyal she was to her friends over her boyfriend, which is a good trait to have. But then when she finds out that, because everyone finds out about monsters at the end of the first book, and then one of them kisses Brett, and he ends up passing out, and she gets really angry, and she finds out that she wants Melody to help track down that monster, which is Frankie, and then my mind's just not here. Okay. But then she ends up finding Melody's phone, which showed the transformation of Melody's boyfriend Jackson, because Jackson's a monster, well, half monster, half Normie. Normie is human in the monster world. But anyways, so she saw the transformation of Jackson turning into the monster DJ Hyde, and was threatened to show it to the world if she didn't bring her the monster. But then they end up finding another way, and there's this invisible monster, what's his name, Billy, and they were able to use makeup and stuff to dress him up as Frankie, and on camera, because everyone was interviewing as Brett woke up, and then Melody brought in Billy / Frankie at the nick of time. But then when Brett ends up finding out that his feelings are for Frankie and not Becca, she gets all angry. She shows the video anyways, even though Becca didn't know it, because technically Melody did cheat, but Becca didn't know it at the time. So yeah, she ended up showing the video anyways, outing Jackson, even though Jackson had nothing to do with this. She just hated monsters, and then she just became an awful character, and do not like her. But yeah, so she definitely would go on the naughty list. Because what did the monsters ever do to her? Well, Frankie did kiss her boyfriend, which was definitely wrong. Because it's one thing to have a crush on a guy that's in a relationship, it's another thing to make a move because you want that guy to be yours. I have serious Frankie issues, book and movie-wise. Because Frankie is different from the books and movies a little bit, but either way, she still annoys me. I don't like her. But Frankie and Applewhite, I both don't like them. I still did not put them on the naughty list because I have to be realistic. And even though I don't like them, I don't see them being on the naughty list because they aren't mean or bad or anything. I don't like them for other reasons. Okay, what's next? Number 7 is Hunter. Oh yeah, okay, I remember. I almost forgot who the heck that was. So I just did a review for this book. It's the first book in the Shadow Realm Chronicles, Maeve. The other books are not out yet. This is the only one out. And Hunter, at the beginning, was kind of annoying. He was whiny because him and his wife just had a baby, and she was giving Alexander all the attention instead of him, even though that's kind of how it works. But then he realizes how wrong he is, just as Maeve dies technically because she becomes a vampire, and then Hunter's all distraught because he wants his wife back. But then Maeve does come back, and he's like, "No, you're not my wife. You're just a monster who took over her body." So the townspeople come to burn her down, and then he takes Alex and leave. And there's a bunch of time jumps, and then in one of the time jumps you find out that Alex hates his dad because he was always a bad father to him. I'm guessing he was just depressed and distraught over losing Maeve, even though she was there, because yes, vampires do change, they become soulless, but it didn't exactly make her that way. She was still the same Maeve. I mean, she did have darkness inside of her now because of it, but she was a fairy before she became a vampire, so that part of her that was a fairy stayed inside of her. So unlike most people who become vampires, she still had a part that was Maeve. But Hunter didn't see it. And at some point I understand where Hunter was coming from, because as far as he could see, this monster took over his wife. She was no longer there. He did, near the end, find out the truth and find out that she is Maeve no matter what. And end up, but by then there was a several time jumps, so he was really old. She still looks really young, by the way, to throw that out there. But he ended up telling her how sorry he is, how he thought she was gone, how he thought he lost her, and then she ends up taking him back, and they're together for a little bit, spoiler alert, and then he dies because he is really old, which is really upsetting, because I was just beginning to be all happy for them to be together, and I was just beginning to not completely hate Hunter, and then Well, I don't think I ever really hated him. I just really didn't like him. But yeah, so that was upsetting. But yeah, he would be on the naughty list until maybe the end. Another character that did get redeemed and would eventually go on the nice list, you know, but he would have died before he got anything off the nice list. So, okay, what's next? Next is number 8, Nanulak. From, yay! Seekers. I love Seekers. Nanulak was in 2 books in the second arc. This is from the first arc. This is the very first book. But Nanulak is an awful character. I hate him. When you meet him, he just seems like a normal brown bear, but his fur does look a little bit different to be a normal brown bear, but they don't really know what it is that makes it different. It just is. And he didn't like Lusa or Khalik, especially Khalik. He hated Khalik. He was awful to them. Because this is after Udrak died, right? Yeah. So he was only nice to, and Yokon. He hated the 2 of them more, but he also hated Lusa. He pretty much hated anyone that wore brown bear, but he hated the white bears more for a specific reason. I'll get there in a minute. But yeah, so and then you find out, and he always said like he didn't have family, he was all alone. So Tokolo kind of took him in. Still, he was trying to teach Nanulak that not all that other species of bears aren't bad, that they're good, because he doesn't want Nanulak to treat his best friends like this. But Nanulak, being Nanulak, was trying to tell Tokolo that other types of bears are awful, you know, because most brown bears actually think that way. They are grumpy even towards each other, and they don't like other species of bears. Well, no bear does really, but brown bears more than ever. That's why a lot of people, that's why the bears on here are misfits, because they all hang out together, even though that's kind of forbidden in bear world, because they're not supposed to, but they don't care, they do it anyways, and stuff like that. But yeah, and then they find out that he lied, that he does have a family. His father, I want to say, is a brown bear, but his mother, or it might be the other way around, I don't remember what, but one of his parents is a brown bear, one of his parents is a white bear. That's why his fur looks different, because he's technically both, and that's never actually been heard of before. And he hated his white bear heritage, and that's why he took so much of his anger out on Khalik and Yakon, because they were white bears. And then Tokolo gets really upset at him for lying to him, and then Nanulak said, I thought you were different, this and that, and he ends up running off from his family and from the group, and he just ends up disappearing, and Tokolo's all distraught because he did care about the young cub and wanted to help him out, but Nanulak made his own bed and now had to lie on it. And then the final book, which was, I think that was only a couple books before the final book, I don't exactly remember, but the final book, they're at the longest day, they're at Great Bear Lake for the longest day gathering, when a forest fire happens, and so the four bears have to figure out how this happened, who's doing this, and they find out it's Nanulak, and he wants revenge on them, especially Tokolo, for because he feels like that Tokolo turned his back on him when he needed him, and chose these other bears, and these other bears are his family. So yeah, he would definitely be on the naughty list. I do not like him, and he sucks. What's next? Number 9 is Tiger Claw. He's technically a villain too. He's from Warriors. Where's my books? This isn't the first book, but it's one of them. This is the book 6 from the first arc. I own like all the super editions now. The first 2 arcs, and then my sister bought me the 3rd arc for my birthday, and it's not here yet. And then I recently bought the 4th book, which isn't here yet, for 4th arc. So yeah, I'll have a good portion of the book soon. I still have to buy like the mangas and the novellas and the last 2 arcs, and then Erin Hunter's still making a 7th arc. So yeah, at least I'm getting somewhere. I'm finally getting a lot of the books. Anyways, Tiger Claw was awful. He did not like Firestar when he first he was Fire Paul back then. Actually, technically, he would have been Rusty back then. But then they changed his name to Fire Paul before he became Fireheart and then Firestar. But that's a long story. If you've seen Warriors, if you read Warriors, then you'll understand. But yeah, basically, so Tiger Claw did not like him because he was a house cat, and a house cat has never become a wildcat in one of these 4 clans before, but he did, because he met Gray Stripe, who would have been Gray Paul back then, and Blue Star, who's the clan leader, ended up letting him in, and Tiger Claw did not like him at all, not even a little bit. But he was really close to Blue Star. Blue Star trusted him, and he was one of her most trusted soldiers, warriors, I guess, and turns out he was deceiving her and lying to everyone because he wanted to be leader, and he even tried to kill her at one point, because if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've read these, but I'll be rereading them soon so I can read the new ones, or not new ones, but the other ones that I haven't gone to yet. If I remember correctly, Tiger Claw, Firestar found Fireheart. It's hard to keep up with all these names. The name changes are just awful. Fireheart found out about it, but Blue Star didn't believe him, if I remember correctly. And then, but then Tiger Claw tries to kill her, and he has to save her. And then she gets all depressed and won't do anything because he betrayed her and this and that. And then Fireheart ended up becoming the clan leader and has to fight Tiger Claw. So yeah. Tiger Claw betrayed and deceived, and he would definitely be in the naughty list. Okay, what's next? I think there's one more left. Number 10 is Mikey. This is the only character on this list. I think it's the only character on this list. Yeah, this is the only character on this list that I love. I do love him, but I have to be realistic because for a while he would be on the naughty list. Where the heck is my book for that? What book is this? Denari. Oh yeah, it's the same book as Mary Hightower. Okay, so it's right here. Okay. This is a spoiler, but everything on this is a spoiler. I don't really do spoiler free, so I usually try to say spoiler alert, but sometimes I forget. Basically, you actually find out at one point that Mikey is actually Mary's brother. And, he was known as McGill. He was this terrifying creature some people didn't even think existed, but he was someone that, whether you thought existed or not, everyone was terrified of. Because just the thought of him being real terrified everyone.
Family don't end with blood, boy.
But, he ends up, I'm going to try and not to make this too much long, but basically, he ends up, kidnapping Nick and Leaf, and then Allie has to, she's a skinjacker, which means she can basically possess for living. So she has to, and you can't teach someone to possess people. You find out why people can skinjack in a while and later on. Basically, she's tricking him to make him think that she's teaching him all these steps and eventually he'll be able to skinjack as well to create more havoc. Eventually, though, he finds out she's lying, and then he gets really mad at her, ties her up, and chains her where all the other prisoners were. But then he ends up saving her life at the end of the book. And then in the second book, they're really close, and they're starting even falling for each other, even though neither one of them are willing to admit it. Until the end of this book, they finally admit it, and then Allie gets kidnapped. So Mikey has to go save her. So he would definitely be in the Nautilus in the first book, and then in the second book it's iffy, but in the third book, no doubt he'll be in the nice list. So, but I absolutely love Mikey, and he deserves so much. So that's the end of this video. Please like and subscribe and comment who you think would be on the naughty list. You can follow me as Secret Book Bears on Twitter and Instagram and Goodreads. And then my Wattpad is author Johar Harper. And then I also have a few Facebook groups that you can join, and there's one called Book Addicts where you can talk about books, and then I have another one called Secrets, Warriors, Brave Lands, and Survivors, or I said that a little bit backwards, but that's for just Erin Hunter's books. And then I also have one for my books that I write, and I pretty much give you updates on the books that I write, which is called Johara Harper's Books. So yeah, I have a lot, but oh well. So I will talk to you guys later.